Before people got to North America, our forests were predominantly ruled by abiotic factors. The presence of forests is always dictated by water. With very little precipitation, an area would be a desert. Add a tiny bit more rainfall and you get a grassland. One minute smidge of rainfall more, and suddenly there are trees. Keep adding rain, and you get trees until the soil becomes overly saturated. And even then, there will often be trees with big, buttress roots and other adaptations to wet soil. We're pretty obviously on the drier end of that scale. In fact, in central Texas, we really straddle what is called the dry line that prevents a lot of forests from marching west. Since central Texas straddles this line, we can grow trees here, but our trees tend to be a lot shorter than trees pretty much anywhere else. Going to forestry conferences around the country and saying you're from Texas gets plenty of eye rolls and comments about how nice our bushes are. But while they might be short, we do have some rather hefty trees. Honestly, we used to have a lot more though. Central Texas was once covered by vast swaths of old-growth forests. There were reports of ash juniper stands with an average diameter of 24 inches from the early Spanish expeditions to the area. Today, our forests are much younger than they used to be. The land was clear-cut several times before the middle of the last century, meaning what remains is potentially second or third growth forests. Unfortunately, people and trees are often in direct competition for space. This competition between forests and development is especially detrimental when combined with the ever-present pressure of drought in central Texas. Especially in recent years, the prevalence of both development and droughts has increased dramatically. Because of this, deforestation in central Texas is running rampant. So, trees and forests are suffering. And we really only build cities where trees and forests want to live. So what would happen if we tried to encourage the trees and forests to return to our urban centers? Now, people are beginning to realize that trees are not just the wood they are made from. Trees, especially living trees in the ground, provide myriad ecosystem services that make living around them easier. The canopy of a tree slows rainfall and prevents runoff. The roots allow this slowed rainfall to better infiltrate the soil. The leaves and roots clean the air and water respectively. The leaves and branches obscure sightlines and noise. The products trees make feed, shelter, and entertain us. Between windbreaks and shade, trees save homeowners millions of dollars annually. All told, trees actually provide nearly $20 billion of ecosystem services in the United States alone every year. Clearly, encouraging an urban forest in Austin provides ecosystem services to Austin area residents. Those ecosystem services will make the lives of Austinites better, more enjoyable, and less expensive. For example, planting shade trees over air conditioning units can potentially save a homeowner 10% on operating costs. But the shade is only half the benefit here. Since leaves act as evaporative coolers, lowering ambient air temperature around them, the shade under a tree can be significantly cooler than the shade under a structure or non-leafy canopy. Furthermore, Austin Energy recommends planting trees to the south and west of homes to shade windows blasted by afternoon sun. This practice can lower indoor temperatures by 20 degrees and cooling costs by another 40%. Conversely, and much less relevant to Austinites' lives, trees can also keep us warmer in the winter. Planting evergreen screening trees to the north and west of a residence greatly reduces the amount of winter winds buffeting the house. This can reduce heat loss and save homeowners up to 25% of their heating bills. But trees don't just make our indoor lives better. Trees can mitigate urban heat island effects by providing more reflective, lighter-colored surfaces than most urban centers are made of. And much like our AC units, humans too benefit from the cooler temperatures under trees. Cities are surprisingly heterogeneous at scale, and the benefits of higher canopy coverage can be seen in areas as small as one city block. City blocks with 40% canopy coverage or more can be 10 degrees cooler than less forested blocks. Trees also enrich human lives. Being around greenery and nature has been shown to dramatically improve mood, well-being, and cognitive performance among people. Forests can also reduce or alleviate symptoms for ADHD and anxiety sufferers. And furthermore, they can enrich our lives by attracting wildlife. Wildlife, and even other plants, directly benefit from our urban canopy. Trees, especially the 3 most common trees in our urban forest, attract a host of interesting organisms that follow in their wake. Our cedar trees, which aren't actually cedars at all, produce copious, fleshy berry-like cones that are relished by small mammals and migratory birds as a wintertime treat. The tree's stringy exfoliating bark is a prized nesting material among common and rarer species. Our cedar elms produce seeds that are quite palatable among people and enjoyed much more by critters. The elm's inwardly cupping canopies that shade their trunks provide a perfect habitat for our native bromeliads, commonly known as ball moss. Both native species of live oak produce acorns that make up the bulk of diet for many urban squirrels, deer, foxes, and turkeys. The oak's leaves drop in early spring, only to instantly be replaced by new ones, while the old nourish the soil, providing nutrients to plants like our endemic coral root orchids. And while urban forests can reduce the load on urban infrastructure in measurable ways that allow us to quantify their effects with dollar amounts, their effects on the lives of people by improving well-being or enriching lives through bringing wildlife is harder to quantify. Still, enjoyment and satisfaction are important metrics when considering city life.